Hi there and welcome to this video on the Six of Wands. We're going to be looking at the Six of Wands in detail. I've got the Thoth version on the left here, which we'll look at throughout the remainder of the video, and in various places I'll introduce the Rider-Waite card as well where appropriate. As I say, some people prefer this deck simply because it's got people faces and they can relate to that more easily. So with this card we have victory, and that is a much happier scenario than the Five of Wands, which is to do with strife. As we saw, the difficulty of the five was exaggerated in all of the minor arcana suits in both the Rider-Waite and the Thoth deck. So we got a much happier environment here, and we can see that this guy here has a sense of victory as he is demonstrating to the crowd who are in support of him. So we'll first of all look at the divinatory meanings of the Six of Wands and then move into where those meanings are derived from. So we go on to the divinatory meanings next. Just to show you, there is a certain symmetry and harmony with the Six of Wands as represented in the Thoth deck here. I've just put a vertical line of symmetry here, and that does imply harmony and balance, and we'll see that expressed throughout the divinatory aspects of this card. We'll now have a quick look at the Six of Wands in its divinatory setting. So if we go for some upright meanings, it can represent success, victory over past troubles and difficulties, and that refers to the Five of Wands. And depending on the topic of the actual reading, it can relate to such situations as successfully passing a course, which requires effort, determination, spiritual progress after some hard-fought realizations, harmony in our relationships after a rocky patch or getting used to cohabiting, things like that, and financial solvency, which we've had to work very hard for. So this idea of success it hasn't just come out of nowhere, it's come out of working through and being determined throughout hard times. This card also relates to public recognition of our achievements, as illustrated in the Rider-Waite card. So I had a look at that before. As you can see, this man is obviously above height of the crowd, he stands out. That's his public notoriety. And it also relates because the sign is Leo paired with Jupiter. So we have the planet Jupiter in the sign of Leo. Leo is to do with self-confidence, being the center of attention, and this confidence that you have in yourself, you're able to set new goals, improve your learning and understanding, and take on more responsibility, which is what Jupiter is all about. So it's a good pairing, as we'll see in the astrological section of the video. It's also a time for reflection and celebrating your achievements, because sometimes we get to achieve what we want to do and then we don't really know what to do next, or we just go on to the next thing. And sometimes it's good to take a pause and see the positive qualities of how we got where we got to, and give ourselves a pat on the back and just reflect on the ways in which we achieved our success, so we can pool those for the next challenge. It's being proud and confident that you've achieved your goals. Public recognition. Time to promote your brand in these days of the internet. so that others may benefit and hence support you positively, because this is Leo, it's about public recognition again, so it might be something to do with promoting your product or your skills in the social setting. And that's it for some ideas for the upright meanings. We'll now go on to the reverse meanings for the Six of Wands. So we'll just have a look at some reversed meanings of the Six of Wands. It could indicate having an inflated ego with a sense of self-importance with respect to others, which is in a detrimental sense, because Leo is all about confidence in yourself, being expressive, being the centre of attention, and that can turn into something which is very egotistical and destructive. Having a fall from grace as your lifestyle has let you down, and now you may be personally or publicly humiliated. Again, we have social media these days, and it's very easy to get recognised in a negative way, and that can have an impact on your life. Having low confidence in your ability to shine and achieve your goals. So in other words, this Leo and the Jupiter in Leo is not working as it should. Trying to achieve too many goals at once without clear direction. If we looked at the upright divinatory meanings, we had a positive outcome from a clear and focused pathway to achieve that success. If you've got too many things happening at once, your energy is dispersed and you don't use it wisely. Success that is short-lived, and you're having once again to gather your confidence to move forward. So again, the 6 is not completion, it's really just another phase on our path. So we have to be prepared that life is always changing. And yep, that's about it. So we'll go through the Six of Wands in the Celtic cross right at the end, but now we'll have a look at some of the more deeper aspects of the card. When we get to the numerology of the Six of Wands, the 5 points become 6, and the 6 points give rise to the Pythagorean solid, which is the octa, the 8-sided shape here, which is an octahedron. And it's essentially, if we think of this as the base, it's a square-sided pyramid in an upright position, and sharing its base is the same in the reversed. And these are all equilateral triangles, again suggesting that harmony and balance. And the upward pointing triangle is associated with the glyph, the alchemical glyph of fire, and complementing that is the alchemical glyph of water here. So you've got essentially the alchemical marriage of fire and water. And this is seen also in the Rider-Waite card, where you've got this active upright male and you've got this passive crowd here in the background. Going further into the numerology, 2 plus 3 equals 5. So if you think of male and female and you just add them together, you get a product of 5. Whereas 6, 2 and 3 are said to be the first proper female and male numbers respectively, taking 1 out of the equation. And if they're multiplied together, in other words, in terms of marriage and sexual union, you have a product which is 6. So this is greater than the sum of the parts, and therefore this is associated with marriage, productivity, success, that sort of thing. So that's the numerology of the Six of Wands. So in the previous section we looked at the harmonization of fire and water, and like the alchemical marriage of the two. Now just have a look at the position of these 6 of Wands on the Tree of Life. I did this glyph of the Tree of Life in relation to the Thoth deck. I spent an afternoon doing this because I've not seen one on the net that puts the Thoth cards in the correct places, with the Emperor down here swapped with the Star, and obviously the Adjustment and Lust swapping for Weights, Strength and Justice. So the 6 of Wands is associated with Tiferet, which is the found on this pillar, this middle pillar, which is called Pillar of Equilibrium, and it's all about harmonizing forces. As you can see, this is in the middle, and we've certainly got a harmony in this card, as I indicated by the symmetry, which we saw in the previous section. We can see that more clearly in this diagram. I've drawn arrows going into and out of Tiferet here, and you can see that all of the Sephira are affected by Tiferet. You could say that Malkut here is as well through Yesod, this Sephira here, Sephiroth here rather. But I put just the direct one. So you can see that this is definitely a centre of energy which is harmonizing and balancing. Malkut here is sometimes seen as a swinging pendulum, which is completely separate from the tree anyway, and this is where the energy is materialized in its densest form physically. This Sephiroth here is associated with sacrificed gods such as Christ. So here we have the 5 wounds of Christ, which relates esoterically to his sacrifice of his 5 senses so that he can progress spiritually. Whether the crucifixion actually happened or not, esoterically is irrelevant. It is representing the sacrifice of the senses for spiritual attainment. And indeed, this card, right from the start, we said it was to do with victory through sacrifice. Just very briefly here, it's also the mediating principle of the ethical triangle. I'm probably going to start a Qabalah course, just some very short videos on Qabalah, but essentially we had the supernal triangle here, which was the 1, 2 and 3 of Wands. Then we discussed the 4 and 5 of Wands, and the 6 here, it's associated with the ethical triangle, and these triangles have significance in terms of what they represent, and this is supposed to represent the soul. The next slide just shows the 6 of Wands in relation to the 4 worlds. So we have 4 trees of life relating to the 4 suits: the wands, cups, swords and discs. So this wand here is associated with Tiferet in Azilut. So what's the significance of that, of bringing up the 4 worlds? It really represents the creative principle, because Azilut is really to do with the divine, the creative spark, which represents the wands, and so it's like victory for our and success for our creative skills. Jupiter in the fire sign of Leo, Jupiter has a certain spontaneity as well, so it can represent success even using things such as our intuition, which is a spontaneous thing, following an intuition and using that as a goal to achieve, and then using our determination to follow that path. So this is the world of inspiration. So that's it for the Six of Wands on the Tree of Life. We'll now look at the astrology and its position on the Decan wheel. The astrology is fairly straightforward, but I did forget a couple of points on the relationship of the Six of Wands to the Tree of Life. This Sephiroth here, Tipperet, is in direct communication with Keta. Keta being the most divine, the undifferentiated spirit, and so you have the sense of Christ and the Father. So this direct line to Tipperet is very important in the harmony and balance that this card brings. And also this Sephiroth has a title, as all the Sephiroth do, and it has the title of the mediating intelligence. Mediating means to reconcile, to moderate, to harmonize, and we saw that in the harmonizations of the energies on the tree here. So sorry I forgot a couple of points there, but anyway, that completes what I wanted to say on that. With regards to astrology, we're now in the second decan of Leo. And here is the full decan wheel. So the 5 was associated with Saturn in Leo, and we had all that conflict between the planet Saturn and Leo, but now we've got Jupiter, which is much more in line with the energies of Leo, that wants to express itself, be the center of attention, be creative, that creativity that we talked about. And as I say, Jupiter's all about expansion and also taking on more responsibility, about careers, also about spirituality and higher understanding, that sort of thing. And it's the middle decan here, it's between 11 and 20 degrees. So being in the middle decan, you had the initial impulse of Leo here. Because this is a middle decan, that has significance because it's more of a consolidation type of an energy rather than an impulse. Leo as a sign is also ruled by the sun, and Tipperet here is ruled by the sun as well, so we have positive correspondences there. Jupiter is a planet of allowing us to expand ourselves into the world, our life, and grow in our personalities and responsibilities. And in the fire sign of Leo, Jupiter, as I said, gives a certain spontaneity, and we're able to express this creatively. Leo is also a fixed fire sign. Here we see fixed. So we've got cardinal, fixed, mutable, cardinal, fixed, mutable, all around the wheel. This is a fixed sign, and it gives it endurance. So we've got time, once we've reached our goal, to then fully revel in that newfound success and freedom. But remember, life does change, so we've got to change with it. So that's the good news on the astrology. We'll now move on to the actual symbolism of the card. So we'll now look into the symbolism of the Six of Wands, and we have the sign of Jupiter, the glyph here of Jupiter, and that's in the zodiac sign of Leo. Notice that they are in line with the vertical symmetry of the card, and that is true for most of the Thoth cards, but in the next video on the Seventh of Wands we'll see that they are skewed from the midline, and there's a reason for that, and we'll go into that in the next video. For the winged staff here, perhaps we better say that there are 3 staffs in this particular card, the same as we had for the 5 of Wands here. But in the 5 of Wands, the phoenix heads here were turned and look very angry at the lotus blossoms here. In this particular card, they're turned away from the lotus blossoms, and it's looking like a much more harmonious card. So this is the type of change in symbolism that, you know, we need to be a little bit aware of when we're looking at the Thoth deck. So I've labelled the 3 types of wand in this card, which is the wand of the Chief Adept here, the wand of the Major Adept, should be on, which is here, relating to the Phoenix head, and the wand of the Minor Adept, which is the Lotus Blossom. We have a violet background, which is supposed to represent the planet Jupiter in the world of Asaya here, because the Golden Dawn had all sorts of colour attributions to the planets and which particular world the Sephira were placed in. So I don't know why Asaya is mentioned here, because the wands were related to Azalut here, but as a best guess I can say that these wands with Leo in Asaya, this very bottom world here, the most dense, the most materialistic, is really just the expression of the energy of this card on the physical plane, because this card relates to our successes, it relates to our achievements after hard work and various obstacles. So I think the fact that they're relating this particular colour violet to the lowest world, Asaya, is just a realisation in our everyday world that these this inspiration that we have is materialised. It's actually come to life. Perhaps I should have said with the lotus, with the winged eye of Horus here, we have the red of the eye and we have like a blue, greeny blue surroundings, and that's very similar to what we discussed in the numerology, where we had the fire and water, and so it's that alchemical marriage, that mixing of the two expressed far more symbolically here. And indeed we have that again in the lotus ones, where we have the blue and in this case white. We can see here clearly that there's blue and white, which represents water and spirit. The phoenix heads here are representing the solar power of Tiferet, which, as we went through, was the middle Sephiroth here, ruled by the sun. So that creativity of the sun, that expression of the sun that rules Leo, has been fully expressed in the phoenix ones here, not dark and obscured as in the Five of Wands. So I guess the last point to mention with regards to what's on this card are the flames here, which are 9 in number. So I've numbered them here. So that number 9 is significant because it is representative of the 9th Sephiroth here, which is Yesod, and that is the moon. So we have the interaction here of the sun and the moon, the male and the female, which relates back to the initial numerology of the card, fire and water, male and female, that alchemy, the same alchemy that's between the solar disk and the wings here. So that is a theme that goes through the whole of the card, and it's also in the 9 of Wands, which is strength, where we have the sun and the moon. So we have this blending of energies to give harmony. And for those of you that have seen the Decans videos that introduce the wand set, I've gone into more detail about the flames. So I think that's it for the symbolism. We'll now move on to the transition between the 5 and 6 of Wands. I decided to do a quick summary here just to show you the transition of the energy of the suit so far. We have the Ace of Wands here, and we have 10 flames issuing, which represent the 10 Sephira of the Tree of Life. Then we have this rather dominant energy in the Two of Wands, which is Mars in Aries. In the Three of Wands here, again, a lot of energy issuing forth with the Sun in Aries. And then in the Four, we had this closed system, which represented the completion of a project, which sort of takes on a life of its own. In the Five, there was a lot of strife here with conflicting signs and planets in combination. And in the Six, we can see for the first time a harmony of the energy of the flames. I've just put these arrows in the direction of the flames. So we can see for the first time here we've got the flames all of equal size going in the same direction. So this is another illustration of how we have pooled our resources and we become one-pointed enough to work through the adversity of the Five and work through the energy that was given in the first 4 cards before that. Okay, that's the section on transitions, and we'll finish off this video on divination in the next section. So here we have a Celtic cross spread, and we'll just go through the various different positions for the Six of Wands. So if it is the very first card that has been pulled, in relation to the reading, it could mean that that person has actually achieved their goal and their success, and now is the time to have a look at other factors which may help or hinder them in their path forward. And it's also a time to reflect and see what were their strengths and weaknesses on achieving their task. Position number 2 here is a crossing factor to the dominant energy of the spread, and therefore it could mean that this person has become maybe too wrapped up in themselves, too narcissistic, too into themselves with an inflated ego, and it's stopping them from achieving their goals. It could also mean that maybe they're taking on too many things at once and nothing is being completed. If the Six of Wands falls in position 3, subconscious influences, it could mean that really you have something yet to achieve and put your all into. Maybe a lack of confidence that stops you from doing so, but this is a reminder that you have the potential to find something that really inspires you and to go for it. Position 4, recent past influencing the situation. It could mean success and public recognition after successful work. On the other hand, if it's reversed, it could mean that your past is now influencing your present in a negative way. But hopefully you've got an upright position for this particular spot. So the Six of Wands in position number 5 could mean that is your hopes and goals here, and that could refer to the fact that you may want to have some sort of recognition for your successes in the future, have other people appreciate you more, and find harmony and balance in your life. The Six of Wands in position number 6 here, which is the near future, I'd encourage that person to keep moving forward in what they're doing, be one-pointed, be consistent, and success will come. So it's a reassuring card to get in position 6. Position 7 here, how are you affecting your situation, your internal self? If the Six of Wands is reversed, it could mean that you're actually not getting the recognition that you expect for the work that you're putting in. So maybe you're feeling underappreciated. Card 8, how others are affecting your situation or your external environment. Could mean something in relation to your work, or even spiritual studies where it is goal orientated, seems to be very well mapped out where your energies need to go, and therefore it's a supportive environment to be recognised with the Six of Wands in position number 8. Number 9, guidance and warning or advice here. Try not to overreach yourself by taking on too many things at once. It will use up too much of your time and energy. Quite like when we went through the previous section where all the energy was dispersed in various different directions. So this indicates pooling resources and being one-pointed, focusing on a goal, and your efforts will be more effective in achieving your ends. Lastly, in position 10, long-term outcome. The Six of Wands is a great card to have in this position if it's upright. A feeling of balance and well-being in your life after much hard work. The potential of other people recognising your talents more and more. So reflect on your journey, meditate, and know that success can be short-lived and it's just a stepping stone onto something new. But that said, as I said, it's a very good card to have, and it's a great positive energy and influencing factor on the rest of the spread. So that's it for the Six of Wands, and we'll next tackle the 7.